It's Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers with tips and advice on landscaping and gardening. Here's Fernando Martinez.
Well, thank you, and welcome to the show today. We got another great show lined up for you. More good information on how to get out there and use your landscaping and really enjoy your home, which is why we have our website, ilovetoComeHome.com. You can check us out on that. I am Fernando Martinez, and today what I really want to talk about is how to use your backyard. You know, when you think about landscaping and what you wanted to do out, how you want it to feel, do you go down to the nursery and just start picking out plants? You know, do you plant it first? Do you hire a landscape architect to come out and do, you know, or is it somewhere in between there? And which I think is where probably the majority of us live, and our needs are in landscaping on a either day-to-day basis or project to project. But what I really want you to think about is how are you going to use it? I mean, to me, that's the most important. Regardless of how it looks to somebody else or what the property value may be increased by, you know, if you do this kind of job or that job. To me, the most important thing is for you to really think about is how to use it. So take your backyard, for instance, and do you see yourself barbecuing? We live here on the Central Coast. This is barbecue capital of the world, seemingly. And then we've got our own styles and the way we barbecue. So, you know, what kind of barbecuing tastes the best? You know, how do you want to do that? Is it, you know, a gas grill? Do we set it up, your landscaping in that direction? Are you going to be, you know, oak pit barbecue that, you know, there's wood pellet grills. There's any number of different ways. The pellet grills take electricity. So, you know, you have to kind of plan out how you want to use it. Think of all the fun stuff that you can do and enjoy. And that's something that'll put the smile on your face and say, yeah, that's what I want to do. That's how I want to use it. I also want to talk about why would you still need a lawn? And how does that look? And what are the options there? And, you know, in this era of, you know, drought and people taking their lawns out and things like this, make sure that that's the right decision for you. And let's discuss how you want to use the area and the space and decide really whether a lawn's needed or not. Also, what I want to talk about today, the third thing would be fire pits. What type of fire pit? Is it going to be a propane with a tank, or are you off the grid? Do you have natural gas, or is it just going to be this campfire? And why would you want a fire pit? You know, and how would that look? How would that feel? And those types of things, I think, focused on today's show is really going to give us that idea of whether we do something or not and make smart decisions based on how we see ourselves using that space. And I think, again, that's really, really important of how we're going to use it. So let's kick it off with outdoor kitchens. That's something that sometimes can get pushed to the back burner, or if you need like the basics of a patio and, you know, some plantings and irrigation, all this kind of nuts and bolts, meat and potatoes aspect of landscaping, you know, the how we use it can get lost. And I know a lot of people, and including myself, which I absolutely love going outside and barbecuing. So having a space for that and planning for that space is absolutely essential, in my opinion. And I think that we have to really sit down and think about how we're going to barbecue if that's what we're going to do. And, you know, barbecuing is not your thing, and you never really go outside to use that space, and you don't want to spend the money in an outdoor kitchen that's just going to sit there, or maybe it might raise the value of your home. You can say it's got an outdoor kitchen or whatever, and it always sounds good, you know, those types of projects, and they have that allure. But if you are the type of person that goes outside and barbecues and enjoys that flavor of the meat that you really can't get, you know, any other way, then this is going to definitely be something you want to leave room in the budget for, and really think about how much you want to spend on it and how it's going to get put together. And a lot of that's going to depend on what your tastes are and how you see yourself doing it. You know, Are you a charcoal barbecuer? You got the Weber out there, and that gives you, there's a certain way of doing that and getting that flavor from the briquettes, or you can take the little wood chips, soak them in water and do that. I think that's probably one of the easiest ways to do it. You do have to consider, how long does it take for the coals to get ready? How long do I want to wait before I'm able to barbecue? Maybe a gas grill is more your type of deal. And before you put that patio in, you may want to run the natural gas line underneath the patio. There may be one already coming out of the back of the home that would be enough volume for, a gas grill. A lot of homes are built in with a gas line coming out of the back side of the house just for a gas grill. They're ready really fast, and you can start barbecuing almost immediately with the gas grill. I think that has probably the least amount of flavor as far as when it comes to the meat and the taste of the barbecue. So in my mind, when I'm recommending outdoor kitchens for our clients, I think the gas grill is probably one of my least favorite of what to offer them. You can just go down to whatever box store, buy the grill, set it up there, hook it up to the natural gas line, and you're basically ready to barbecue. The charcoal gives you at least a little bit more flavor, and when you introduce the wood chips, and you could do wood chips with the gas one as well, just to help, get some flavor in there. And so that, I don't know. I mean, to me, barbecuing is fun. I love being outside. I love the atmosphere of it and the flavor of the meat. I mean, to me, that's one of the most important things to me personally. So I prefer red oak. And if you've ever barbecued yourself over to red oak, the taste is incredible. It's what they use, at a lot of these popular restaurants that we have here on the Central Coast. And when you go out, and it's not cheap, to get a nice, good steak. And there's so many different options when it comes to meats as far as barbecuing, but ribeye comes to my mind right away. And there's nothing like just cooking over red oak. And so we've got a great source here on the Central Coast, or a couple sources for buying the actual inserts if you're building an outdoor kitchen, or freestanding grills where they're set up for red oak, and then you can get the different grates that go on top. But to me, the red oak is going to give you the absolute best flavor and your best experience as far as barbecuing goes. And then I would say a notch down from that would be the wood pellet grills, like a Traeger. I barbecued on Traeger for years, and it's a pretty simple setup. You do need electricity, if that were the case in your outdoor kitchen, because the Traegers need to be plugged in. You can treat them almost like an oven. It gives you the temperature, which is really nice. And if you're going down to like the charcoal, like a Weber type deal, you don't really need a whole lot of space for that, and it's pretty simple to set up. And then, like we talked about with the gas grill, you just need a spot for that and make sure the gas line's accessible. Now, when it comes to, like, a lot of times people get held back by the red oak because they're thinking, oh my gosh, I got to get the kindling wood and the logs, and I got to start 2-3 hours before I actually want to start cooking. That could be, there could be a downside to that. But if it's just you and your family, maybe 2, 3, 4 steaks, some linguiça, whatever. I'm getting hungry here. Then a small grill, and they sell red oak chunks. You don't have to buy the big logs, and you don't even have to spend the time cutting the wood and everything. They do sell it by the bag at the grocery stores. You can pick up a bag of the small red oak chunks, so you can stick that in there. And basically, I'd use a few newspaper down on the bottom, and then I put the red oak chunks, and I'm ready to cook in 15, 20 minutes. And, 40, 45 minutes, I like my steaks medium rare. They're done, and you're getting some great flavor. Now, if you're going to get by the freestanding ones, and you can just set that out there, and you're done. Just make sure you have a space. You don't need to run electricity. You don't need to run gas. So in some cases, the red oaks, I say red oak, but the wood barbecuing, and I say that because that's this area. When you go throughout the United States, different regions have different types of wood that they use, mesquite or, and they have different styles of barbecuing. So we're here, Santa Maria style barbecue. There's nothing like it. I highly, highly recommend that. And again, if it's going to be, party central and you guys are going to be entertaining and you're going to be cooking tri-tips and, big things and a lot of steaks, and you're going to need, a larger grill. And then you do need, the logs, and it takes a while and you got to get it going. So again, determine what works for you. I know what works for me, but the bottom line is really think about your situation, where you are on the flavors of meats and what your style is, what you like, and what works for you. And that's the way to go. And I say it a lot because as we go out and help people install their landscaping, I tell them, I don't want to do it my way. They'd all be the same, So we're here to do what you want to do in the way that you want to do it. And a lot of times, we just do it for you so you don't have to spend your weekends trying to do it. But I think an outdoor kitchen could be an awesome weekend project. And there's all kinds of different ways to build now with blocks that are pretty easily stacked up or in patterns. You can use different things for the countertop, whether it be, flagstone or granite or, something simple, poured in place concrete. So weekend projects, outdoor kitchens, man, it's so fun. It adds a lot to your backyard. It makes it very usable. And that's something that's really important. If you really see yourself going out there and using it, it's huge. So definitely think about what you want to do cooking wise outside. And do you want to sink? Do you want to running water to the area so you can wash your hands and keep everything nice and clean? And you got to think about where the water is going to drain to. And like we said, even if you want to put a radio out there or something, maybe you do want to run electricity, even if you don't have the grill, the wood pellet grill, or run a couple plugs. So one for that, one for radio, or any other reason you may need electricity. You might want to run light to the area. And so, because if it's barbecuing at night, it can get dark and you can't see what you're doing. And I used to have my little headlamp, put it on my head with the flashlight, and you're trying to grill out there. So if you think about all this stuff ahead of time, and either during a landscaping project or before you start, or just upgrading existing landscape, it's really important to think about those things. So that is really something that's been on my mind and I wanted to talk about today. So now when it comes to lawns, it's a kind of I have mixed feelings about it because of the drought. A lot of us take our lawns out of our backyard and eliminate all that use of water. There's a lot of hardscaping going on, and a lot of it makes sense. It's low maintenance. But I want you to think about, what would you use your lawn for? I mean, pets really is the most obvious one. If you have animals and they need to use a restroom somewhere, or if you don't have dogs or animals or whatever using the backyard, if you have kids, we're going to kick a soccer ball around, throw a frisbee, football, whatever, play catch. Those things are very important, and we want to make sure that, weekends with the family over, whatever, everybody's, gatherings, and you're looking for something to do. I think lawn games are really, really fun, and they can bring life to a party. They can make a dull Saturday, in front of the TV or the game console or whatever it is, or glued to the iPad. It's a good way to get your kids outside, using your yard, making that outdoor space usable, fun space, is lawn games. And we, my wife and I went to a local box store. We were having my son's birthday party, and we were deciding, what are the kids going to do? What's the family going to do? They come over, and I was surprised. I mean, we went in there to get some lawn games. I didn't know what we were going to find. And there was all kinds of different ideas and different games, from lawn darts to, beanbag toss. I mean, just these ring throws, the obvious croquet, and all these really fun stuff to do. And I didn't know, is anybody going to use them? They're not going to use them. So, and the stuff wasn't that expensive. And so we just bought a bunch of different games and kind of threw them out there, got them ready ahead of time of the party, and just I wanted to see, what people were going to do. And everybody went outside. They were having a great time. They got a little competition going, and it was just really fun. And I was just thinking, man, I'm so glad that, that we have this area and this lawn space to do that in. And so that is another great thing to think about when it comes to how you're going to use your yard and utilize that space so that it's not, especially if you have a smaller home. Not all of us can afford, huge homes, and you want to have family over, you want to entertain. It's tough with a lot of people in a small space. And so getting outside and opening that up and, make sure you got enough chairs for everybody. We even just pulled out, which was kind of cool, just those, fold up lawn chairs that you put in the bag and put away. We had probably 5-6 of them in the garage. We just pulled them out, set them out on the grass, set the lawn games around, and had an absolute blast. It really changed the whole, aspect of everybody crowded inside the house looking at each other, or, I tried to turn some music on the TV or whatever, and, it just felt better. People were inside, people were outside, it just was really made a huge difference in utilizing our space. And so definitely think about that ahead of time, or if you've had a party and felt like there wasn't enough space, make a spot out there and really designate that area for the parties. And wow, that's going to be just what an experience, and it just really changes the vibe of the whole gathering and the get together. So next I want to talk about fire pits and what type should we do? What kind of fire pit would make sense for you? Do you need a fire pit? So right on the other side, we're going to talk about that. If you're thinking about putting in a new pavers patio or a paver driveway, call Chaparral Pavers, 805-588-6917. The best paver installer on the Central Coast. Check out their portfolio and customer reviews online. ILoveToComeHome.com. That's Chaparral Pavers, 805-588-6917. And on the web, ILoveToComeHome.com. Okay, so we've been talking about outdoor kitchens and what type of barbecuer are you? Who's got the best flavor out there? And it can kind of be, one of those, one of those kind of, not competition, but, a little bit of ego in there, and my barbecue tastes really good, or I use this seasoning, or, I do mine this way and that way, or, maybe you're the fastest barbecuer, ready to eat right away. And so, it's tough sometimes. I get home late from work and I would love to barbecue, and I'm thinking, well, it'll take too much time, too much effort, energy, but you have to really decide, and sometimes it's multiple. You could have more than one way of barbecuing in your backyard, so it's totally up to you. We've also been talking about lawns in the backyard and how that looks, and whether you really make a good decision by either taking it out or putting in a new lawn or leaving an existing one and fixing it up, all based on depending how you're going to use it. Really, and we talked about different lawn games and entertaining and parties, or just with your family on the weekends. And the third thing I wanted to discuss today was the fire pits. And to me, adding a fire pit to a backyard takes the usability factor and just doubles, or not triples it. I mean, it just really, if there's anything that would draw you out to a backyard and to utilize a space, you come home after work and you're tired, and, or maybe it's the weekend and it's the evening hours, and you see a fire going and you see the flicker of that flame, the color, the atmosphere that provides. When you go to a restaurant and you're waiting for a table and you're getting some drinks and you're hanging out, if there's a little fire pit, or even just a little tiny table with a little tiny flame coming out of there, even though there's not a whole lot of heat, it's an attractant. And you want to go, sit by the fireside, and you want to, just add to this relaxing atmosphere. I remember I was doing installing a fire pit for a client years ago, And we had finished the retaining wall. We had done some pavers and we did some plantings, drip system irrigation. We ran the gas line ahead, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. Make sure you make those plans for that. And we're going to talk about what types and whether you need a gas line or not, or propane, whatever. But I ran a natural gas line in this case ahead of time, and we had the plans for the fire pit. But I had ordered this copper bowl fire pit, which is gorgeous, pre-patinaed, hand-hammered, the fire glass, everything. But it took like 2.5 weeks for the bowl to come in. So the job was complete, but I hadn't gone back and installed the fire pit yet. So I've got everything in my truck, and I head over to this job site, and I'm going to install the fire pit. I get there, it's kind of late in the day, and I see all these cars, and the client's home, but they're inside and there's tons of people in there. So I knock on the door and I'm like, man, I don't want to, bug you guys, but I'm here to finish the install and I want to put your fire pit in. And they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. We were expecting you, and, we're having our choir practice over here tonight before, I guess, for their church group or whatever it was. And that was their night to have it at their house. So there's a bunch of people there. So I said, look, I'll be in the back. You don't have to do anything. I don't want to bug you. So I go back there, and I'm working, and I'm putting it in, and I was all finished, and I could hear him singing in there, and we could kind of see through the window. There was no door to that side of the house, it was the north side of the house. Their front faced east, the back door, went out west, and the only way to get to it was to go out the back door, go down the patio, turn, and then come down the north side of the house. And so it was one of those areas where, we were kind of creating another, little spot for them to enjoy their yard. The minute I turned it on, because I wanted to test it. So I went over there. I was all finished, had the glass on there and everything. It looked gorgeous. So I turned the gas on. I take my little barbecue lighter and I light it. And I got the flames going, and it was dusk. So it was just starting to get dark. And I saw, a couple heads turn and look out the window. And they were still singing in there, doing their thing. And before I knew it, someone had come out, to see what was going on, and they wanted to get by the fire. And they said, "Oh wow, that's so gorgeous! It's beautiful." And then another person comes out, and then another person, and then oh my gosh, and everybody started just conglomerating out here on this side of the house. It was totally unused before, and even with all those people there, I could just tell. It was like, oh, wow, look at that. The flames and the flicker and the color and the atmosphere. And everybody just wanted to and they were so impressed, not just, of course, with whatever the landscaping and the wall and the pavers, but that fire pit is what made everybody want to go out there. I know for a fact there's no way that reaction would have happened if I was just there sweeping off the pavers or something and then left. I probably wouldn't even have seen anybody. And a fire pit just does that. It draws you out there. It makes you want to use it. And it's like a rope, like pulling, you can just feel that tug. Like, I want to go out there. I want to go sit by that. I want to relax. So again, these things are add-ons to landscaping. Sometimes they can be budget prohibitive. But if you can swing it one way or another, because there's any number of ways to do a fire pit. We're running the natural gas line, getting maybe this, copper bowl and fire glass. That one, is a little extravagant and can be a little more pricey, but there's other ways to do it. You can go with concrete blocks, and thank goodness. I mean, landscape blocks have come so far in design and kits and putting them together, and it's very user friendly, and there's good products out there, and so that are more reasonable in cost, and you can use one of those manufactured block kits. You can get a fire ring and with a plate you can set on there. You don't have to use fiberglass. You can do lava rock. I mean, you can just get a bucket of 3/4 inch lava rock. I mean, it doesn't get any cheaper than that. And put that over the top. I actually really like lava rock. It's what I have at my fire pit. The glass is elegant and it looks really nice, and you can get reflective glass. But it's a little more formal of a look, So if you've got that kind of a yard, it makes a lot of sense. If you have a more of a kind of just a natural, yard, or it's not trying to be pristine, it's just trying to be more like, accessible, lived in kind of look, or whatever. I mean, lava rock works in almost any situation, really. They even have tumbled lava rocks that you could do on a more, elegant look, even with lava rock. So, but here's the thing. The fireglass pushes the flames to the side because they can't go through it. There's no holes in the fireglass, and the fireglass is kind of getting in the way of the flames. Now, it still gets plenty of heat, obviously, and it's a fire pit, and so you're getting the fireglass for the look. And there's all kinds of different colors, from black to cobalt blues, light blues, turquoise, there's browns, and amber colors, you name it. You can mix the colors of the glass. You can usually what I'll do, because the reflective glass is really the most expensive fire glass, but what you can do is just put a little bit of that on top. So you can use the cheaper fire glass underneath. I say cheaper, but none of it's cheap. And just a little bit of reflective glass on the top, and you can kind of get the best of both worlds. The lava rock, when you use that, it has holes and pits and spaces for air, and the lava rock itself heats up and radiates heat better, and the flame goes through it, and so you get more of that kind of classic campfire shape. I really like lava rock on a natural gas fire pit. It just all around looks good. The flame looks really good. You get the ambient heat coming off of there, and so it's just a really good choice for that. Now, propane, what do we do with propane? Well, it's exactly the same as natural gas, except for you have to change the type of burner that you use for the fire pit itself. There's going to be a different setup, without getting too technical on what has to happen there. You can't use the same type of gear that you can for natural gas for propane. So you can make sure you specify when you're buying a fire pit or you're getting a burner, however you're doing it, or if you're hiring a contractor or whatever, make sure they know what type of gas that you're using and that you get the correct equipment for the right application, which is whether it be propane or natural gas. If you hook a natural gas burner up to, and you put propane into it, you're going to get it could get you a lot of soot. There could be a lot of black, it's just not right, and it's not safe. And so just make sure that you get that part of it correct and know which fuel you're using. But everything else, once you get the right gear, once you get the right burner, essentially, because the outside of the fire pit is what it is, and everything else works the same. We're just after that flame. We're after that color. And that's one thing I did want to say, is that it matters less what the bowl or the pit or block or whatever it is on the outside. What matters the most is getting that flame, getting that color, getting that atmosphere, getting people out there and using it however you choose to do it. Now, the easiest one to do is wood burning. And so I just want to briefly talk about that because we're running out of time. But you build the pit. There's no burner. There's no gas. There's nothing. And, you make a campfire in your backyard. The only downside to that, and to me it's a kind of a big downside, is that you've got to get wood. You got to store the wood. You've got to get kindling. You've got to get out there and get it started and fired up. And then you got smoke going everywhere, and it gets in your eyes, it gets a smell on your clothes. You go inside, okay, and then let's say, you're done with the fire and you want to go in and go to bed, or the party's over, or how do you put it out? And are you as likely to use it as much or as often if it's that hard to start and put out and smoke and everything? So there's a couple limiting factors with that, but hey, if you're a campfire enthusiast, I'm with you. There's nothing like a campfire, and if that's what works for you, you do what works for you, and get out there and make it work. It goes right along with the smoke in my eyes from the barbecue and the steak and all that. I don't mind one bit. Goodbye for now, and be sure to check us out on ILoveToComeHome.com. We'll see you next week.
This has been Patio Side Chats with Fernando Martinez from Chaparral Pavers. Go to ilovetoComeHome.com to find out more or call 805-588-6917. And be sure and tune in next week at this same time for Patio Side Chats here on KSMA.